Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are good. I hope you guys are well. This is your girl, Samu, Journey to Emotional Health with Samu. Thank you guys for joining me on this video where we talk all things on the journey to wholeness from a place of brokenness to wholeness. So, thank you guys for joining me. I am so excited about today's topic, which is pretty much a follow up from the previous topic that I talked about on knowing your authentic identity. So, in terms of knowing your authentic identity, we discussed how, and I gave, in fact, my story on how I experienced a distortion of my own authentic identity through difficult experiences, through rejection and hardships that I went through in my life. And the aha moment came, and that realization came in me realizing that, okay, I don't know who I am anymore. And that was the beginning of my journey to wholeness, starting to rediscover who I am, or who I was, who I am. So today I really want to add on to this in terms of finding out your true identity and your authentic identity. It is very important that as you journey to wholeness and you start rediscovering yourself, you need to know deeper issues about yourself. And that one thing that you need to know, which is the topic for today, is know your wounds. Yes, know your wounds. So what am I talking about? Know your wounds. Well, like I said before, on this journey to wholeness, when you begin from a place of brokenness to wholeness, oftentimes you don't realize how much the time or the season of brokenness impacted your knowledge of who you truly are. So it's important to know the source of your own dysfunction, of the things that cause you to have a distorted picture of your own identity. And knowing that's by knowing the places of your brokenness. And this takes self-introspection. You're going to take time to look inward. And you're saying, how did I get to this point where I don't really know who I am? What happened? And usually what happened are usually wounds that happened in the past. Those are spaces of brokenness. Those are spaces of rejection. You were rejected by a loved one. Those are spaces of extreme losses, of traumas that happened to us, expected or unexpected, of bad decisions that we made, or bad decisions that other people made for us. So this at times can cause wounds in your life. And these wounds can literally distort your perception of your identity. So what am I really trying to say? Wounds of the past do not go away if they are not resolved. Unaddressed wounds do not go away. What am I talking about? Let's say, for instance, you have experienced a season of brokenness in your life. Perhaps it's rejection that you experienced. Maybe it's, betrayal, or, just rejection from a parent, or whatever it is that you go through in your life. This shakes you to the core. And what happens is that, I'll give an example of an earth trauma, right? When an earth trauma happens, the real earthquakes, the physical real earthquakes, when they happen, they're going to leave cracks. People are going to come and see and say, oh, there is now a gap. They actually measure with the Richter scale how big, the crack was in the ground. That is the same thing that happens to us. Things change, our identity kind of becomes distorted because of that crack and because of those traumas that we go through. And if those traumas do not get attention, if those traumas are not healed, they will not go away. So we need to take time to pay attention to the wounds we've experienced in the past, because unaddressed wounds will transform into something else, into dysfunction in our personality. What am I talking about? For instance, a real wound that you experience, maybe whether it's on your forehead or wherever it is, if it's addressed, it will heal. But if it doesn't, it can become septic. And when it becomes septic, it can have an infection. And that infection can actually cause more damage than what just the original wound could have done. So that's what happens even with our soul wounds. And unfortunately, soul wounds are wounds which are inside and they're internal. And they're not necessarily seen by people. And they're not also open to your own observation at times. So it's important that you take time to know your wounds. You're looking in the spaces of your brokenness. What happened to you in the past? What brought you to where you are today? Was it brokenness? Was it rejection? Was it a trauma? Was it a loss? What was it? Was it a betrayal from a friend? Was it a divorce from a husband? Was it infidelity? What could have brought you to this place? Was it rejection from a parent or a loved one? So these wounds that we carry inside of us need to be addressed. They need to be addressed because when they have transformed into something else, we become dysfunctional. They become personality traits that are dysfunctional. So today I really want you to take stock of your life and say, where are my spaces of brokenness? Where are my spaces which have really, really, really been challenged because of brokenness? And you're saying, I want to know those wounds. I want to know those spaces. So the thing is, here's the thing. It's one thing to be broken, and it's another thing to be blind to your brokenness. So a lot of us here are moving around, but we are blind to our brokenness. Our brokenness will impact our future. So we need to know it and get it healed, right? We need to know where the problem is and get it resolved. So we need to get resolved so that our brokenness, right, does not affect our relationships. You know, a lot of people are suffering in relationships because of the brokennesses of other people. You know, as the saying goes, hurt people hurt others. It's really, really true that people who are hurt inside, because they've not dealt with their own wounds, they tend to hurt other people because what's inside of them has become a dysfunction, right? And it has not been healed. It is now septic, and it is just being seen and personality traits that are really, really unpleasant. So sometimes you look at yourself and you see some personality traits that are really undesirable. Okay, I'll give an example of myself. There was a time when I really exhibited a lot of insecurity, and I would blame people for my insecurity. And during that time, God started to show me that, as I was praying a prayer that I was praying, that God search me and see if there is any wicked way in me and lead me in the path eternal. So as I was praying that verse in Psalm 139, God started to show me that, you've got issues on insecurity. And insecurity is not caused by anybody else. It is a perception of yourself. And that's your issue right there. So I realized at that time my insecurity was being caused was a personality trait that emanated from my experiences of brokenness. My experiences of rejection caused me to become so insecure. So you need to take stock of yourself and say, okay, I need to know what's causing these personality traits in my life that are really, really negative and get them healed. When you know something, then you can get it healed, right? Organize your issues, deal with your brokenness so that people in the future, you don't cut into others with the pieces of your brokenness, right? You don't want your pieces of brokenness to be cutting onto other people you have in relationships with. You don't want your brokenness to be cutting onto your children. You don't want your brokenness, your broken pieces, to be cutting onto your loved ones, your spouses, right? The people you continuously interacting with. So you need to get your wounds healed. So getting your wounds healed starts by knowing them. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today. And say, know your wounds. Get on a quest. Ask yourself questions. Who am I? Where are my spaces of brokenness? As these start getting revealed, then you're well on your way to wholeness. So really, you start knowing yourself in a better way, and you don't project your brokenness onto other people. People who have unhealed wounds project their dysfunction on other people. So you don't want to be someone who's projecting your pain on other people. Rather, like I was saying, hurt people hurt others. Likewise, healed people heal others. And you want to be that source of positive energy for other people and not negative energy. So that's why it's very, very important that you know your wounds. So you guys, I really hope this is going to stir up something inside of you, that you're going to begin to really search deep inside you and say, I want to know my wounds so that I get better, so that I get better. We have a God who heals wounds, who heals the brokenhearted. And when you open up your wounds to God and say, here am I, you're allowing God to heal you of your wounds so that you become whole and you become a better version of yourself. So guys, this is it. I hope you guys have been blessed. I hope you guys have learned something new. Please subscribe to this channel, like, and share it with somebody. Someone is waiting to hear this. Don't be selfish with this information. Like, share with somebody, and tag somebody. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey to emotional health. I love you guys. This is me, your girl Samu, serving you all the way to wholeness. Love you guys. Bye.